period. Thank you.
Call John Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to rise and speak on this bill. And I would just like to say that I think there's a very high threshold that has to apply before a government will intervene, as Helen Clark did, I recall, in Auckland, and as I think David Cagle did 3 or 4 years ago in Central Hawke's Bay. So there is plenty of precedent for what the national government did in this matter. And there is a connection back into my electorate in the Wairarapa, because one of our companies in Masterton was operating for some years in an arrangement with a wholly owned subsidiary of the previous, of ECAN. It was a company called Target Pest, wholly owned by ECAN, by the local authority. It went into receivership owing more than $2 million. The executive of ECAN, the chief executive, had made it clear in writing to the people who suffered the problem of their $2 million loss that, in fact, because this was a local government entity, its bills would be paid by the government. So there was, while there was concern on the part of people owed money by Target Pest, they were led to believe, wrongly I might add, by the officials employed by ECAN, to believe that their debt would be settled. It wasn't. One of my constituents has lost his house, has lost his beach house, and in the last 4 or 5 months lost his whole business because of the activities of the irresponsible management of the ECAN Council, ably led by Sir Kerry Burke, who some members of this House may recall that I was so furious about this problem that I asked for the government to remove his knighthood. And certainly he should have given it back, because his stewardship of this arrangement was absolutely outrageous. And not one of the creditors has had a cent back of that $2 million. Not one. And so I absolutely believe that the government's intervention in the affairs of ECAN was appropriate. And the government's intervention was backed at that point by the mayors of the 10 local councils. Now, aware of this problem in Canterbury and the Wairarapa connection, I am particularly delighted that Dame Margaret Baisley was appointed to sort this issue out, because she is, I think, without a doubt, New Zealand's greatest living, most competent public servant, and certainly very, very highly respected and a brilliant problem solver. She brings huge experience across a wide variety of management roles in government, and she has specialist skills, and she's particularly good on organisational and change management. She's also got a huge history of working with Maori communities at whānau, hapu and iwi level. As well as that, we've got David Cagle and Helen Clark. Helen Clark's first deputy leader is also involved in the management of the council arrangements. And I'd like the House to note that for 20 years, ECAN could not produce a water plan. Dame Margaret had one on the table in 12 months. I think that the people of Canterbury are being particularly well served by the present arrangement. And if you look at the game playing that's going on in the Wellington region about various mayors and heads of regional council all jockeying for position to come out top of the pile in some sort of council reorganisation, I think the people of Canterbury are far better served with this arrangement than this bill proposes, by returning to democracy where a bunch of local people are going to be arguing with each other to be the chief factotum. What we need in Canterbury at the moment is strong, stable leadership in the wake of the earthquake to move that part of New Zealand on.
Sorry to
Thank
interrupt
you,
the
Mr.
honourable
Speaker.
member. Is there any further speakers? I call the Honourable Ruth Dyson, 5 minutes.